Good morning. Welcome to the Java Cafe, Java fam.
We're just going to cut that out. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Today is Monday, October 28th, 2024. And you are, technically you're in the Java Cafe, but we are here live in person from In The Cut here in Roxbury. Also in, I keep saying in Sala, La Sala. I can say it in Sala. But does La, what does La mean? The and Sala?
Living room.
All right, it gives very living room. Listen, we are off site, and so I want to make sure, as I always do, when we are off site, that you can hear me. And so please let me know. No one is saying that you can't hear me or no volume like y'all usually do. And so I think we're good. I am here today. Real Boston Media, Jimmy Spanish.
Jimmy, Jimmy, buenos dias, Jimmy.
Go back and change the color from last night. Speaking of last night, I just want to thank the good brother Daniel and also sister Shakira that came in. We talked about domestic violence and intimate partner violence last night. Give me, there we go. So we are here. We are off site, and I'm going to get it together. Pam and I got here early this morning. And we're going to chat with you about her journey and everything that she has accomplished. And of course, I might want to be slipping. All right, here we go. This will be some good behind the scenes.
We live here, yo.
Yeah. So you're a charter member. You are in the Java Cafe like every day. And so I know for a lot of the audience, this is going to be very interesting for them because they see you online. They're aware. I came to the event. I posted about it. But first of all, let's give you a chance to say buenos dias.
Buenos dias.
As you usually do in the morning. And so let me ask you just off the cuff, how we've known each other through work and BCYF and whatnot, but what was your first interaction with the Java Cafe? Do you remember?
Yeah, absolutely. It was right COVID when you started.
Yep.
The first interaction, and you might laugh, we had a community meeting. It was Julia. It was virtual. It was during
I know what this is about, I think.
I was at BCYF there. It was Julia, Will Morales, and myself. And you jumped on and we were all talking about it was a violence thing. And I think you said, Will, you talk too much or something like that.
What's up, Will? Good to see you, brother.
And I said, I like him. But I had seen you obviously in the neighborhood,
yes,
you know,
through the years.
through BCYF, through all the work there. But that was like our first actual interaction, the first time we connected. And then I don't know. It was love at first sight, Jimmy.
Absolutely. And I remember your energy. My first memory of you were, did you used to do grants or something? Development at BCYF.
Yeah, I was the
And
director.
I remember being
Yep.
in a meeting and you were kind of like, you had this energy of keeping it real and keeping community at the forefront. And so I was curious because I've never really asked anyone that is familiar with the platform, but then, is a guest as well. And so I wanted to ask that, but let's back up a little bit and allow you again to say good morning and greet the folks and describe where you are in life right now. It's Mental Health Mondays. Technically, we don't do it as much. Describe where you are in life in one word.
Living.
Ooh. Now, because Brother Tomas Soto of Tomas Soto Marketing is in the building, he got to mention that, in 2019, that you had an experience. And so it's so interesting that you say living. And at some point, if you want to share that, that is fine. But I'm really glad and excited to be here today. One, just because of you. Two, if y'all look at this setup, do me a favor, just go in the comments and just comment in one word what you think about the setup, because this is, Java Cafe might have to come to the living room, just, a couple more. But y'all need to come check the space out. So let's back up.
Sure.
BCYF. And you wear multiple hats. You have this is a profession, but you have your, what we would call maybe full-time gig, which is the Boston Education Fund. I want to call it the Boston Equity Fund, but there's the Boston Education Fund, and then you have the Equity Fund out of that. And last year we got to, and thank you, because you were one of the first people. I used to do it in church, but you were one of the first people that got me on the radar of auctioning and fundraising. We raised, Senator Miranda gave $1,000 first. We jumped on that and raised $19,000 in 5 minutes.
Yep.
And so you do that in your professional full-time gig. And then you have 2 barbershops. You have the living room. Now, just off the top of my head, one space here in the cut, or are they 2 separate things?
So it's one space.
Okay.
So La Sala is an amenity to
Okay. The
barbershop.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really interesting because the barbershop itself, my idea of a barbershop, like my ideal situation for a barbershop is a barbershop speakeasy concept.
Okay.
And so you get that depending on whichever entrance you come from, whether it's the Washington Street entrance, you come in, you walk into La Sala, you would never know that you're going to see a barbershop here. And then if you come in through the barber shop, you would never know that there's La Sala here, which makes it really, really cool. That was when Nia and I came in for the opening. I was here before. I think I came to see Jazz first, and then we came to the opening. And I was just like in shock because I didn't know you had, this particular part. So before we get too far, BCYF in community. And then after BCYF, let me back up even more. Did you have the barbershop while you were at BCY? How did you get in the barber? Do you cut hair? I'm sorry, because people, and then I know I'm going to learn a lot today. This is going to be interesting. That's a Bustelo. I gave Jimmy a cup of Bustelo, and I tried to water it down, but I should have done the big. You got me on here already. All right, let's back up. I'll back up. Okay. So my time at BCYF, I was there for just about 7 years. My role there was the director of planning and development for BCYF. The last year that I was there, that was through the pandemic, through like 2021, I was deputy commissioner. So I got to really see the whole operations of BCYF. BCYF is near and dear to my heart. Still is. Always, I'm always writing hard for BCYF. I grew up in BCYF centers. Like, so much of who I am today is because of the village that is BCYF. So you used to go there as a young person? Oh yeah, I started at what was the Agassi. It's now with the Margarita Muñiz, but I was at I did camp after school, I learned how to swim in the Roslindale Community Center in Curtis Hall. I worked at Hennigan English.
I knew the working or
Agassiz.
teen council was going to be a part
I
of
was
it.
definitely a red shirt, but I was
I haven't heard that.
I
in
started from
years.
counselor in training to being a junior counselor. My first paycheck was through BCYF. So like so much of who I am is because of the resources that we had through BCYF. So I love my job. That was like, I felt like once I got there that's exactly where I was supposed to be. And we got to do some really great things there. The last year through the pandemic was a really interesting, obviously, time.
No, that's my word. When I don't know what to say or I don't want to say, yeah, it was.
I will say though, BCYF shut down its programming from one day to the next, but we opened up as emergency food distribution locations. Like we were fully operational. I was working 22 hours a day during that time, during the
you
pandemic.
were at Central. You weren't at Center, so you were overseeing presumably
I was
operations
at Central.
for the...
So what I was actually doing, I started, I became the lead for the food distribution initiatives. So at 11 o'clock at night, I would get a list of all the people that needed emergency food. At 11:30, 12, I was routing all of the vans because BCYF had vans. Yep. So then I would coordinate who was going to go pick up where. Then I would do all the routes. I would get into the vans and start dropping off too when we were like, we had no staff to do it. So it was great. And I will say that's what kept me sane.
Okay, the activity and the giving back.
I'm the kind of person I would not have done well
in the isolation
at home. Yeah, like I would not have done well. So, blessing in disguise for sure. Absolutely. And that's when I really got to learn a lot more of the operations for the whole organization. I'm gonna take it back a little bit more to the year before. So in 2019, I got sick. A lot of people know this story.
Living. Let's
living. Yeah. So in 2019, I was probably at my healthiest, at my strongest. I had a personal trainer. I was feeling myself. I was good. And from one random day, I, thought I had food poisoning. I went into the hospital on a Friday and left 35 days later. So I actually had two bowel obstructions back to back, a whole mess of complications, 2 major surgeries. Like I can go on.
Right
that could be a whole
episode.
Though.
Yeah.
So this was in 2019, a year before, exactly a year
Because
before.
it was in March.
It
was in March, right?
Yes. Yep. So March 23rd,
because he did
when it started. Yeah. So Tomas actually, I did a podcast with Tomas the week before. It was like the 16th.
And you look good. I was fine.
I look great. If I must say so
myself. As you do now.
If I must say so myself. But it was bad because I remember going into the emergency room and like my stomach was huge, like bloated. They asked me if I needed to go to maternity. Like they thought I was going into labor. That's how extended it was bad. So fast forward 35 days later, I get out of the hospital finally, and the recovery time was pretty intense too. I will say, and I don't recommend this for anybody, I worked through all of that too. So I was literally
doing 35 days.
BCYF
you were on your phone.
Stuff. I was working on my deathbed. And I don't say that lightly, and I don't recommend that to anybody, but that's also when I realized this is not it.
I'm gonna take notes because we got to go back and I got to check in on you around self-care. Not right now, but notes with Pam. Keep talking.
Yeah. So, I was doing payroll during that time. There was so many things that I was doing literally on the deathbed. And so that was, it was just one of those things where you realize if I were to have transitioned, which I kind of did multiple times, that job posting would have been done the next week, it would have been, everyone is replaceable at work, right? So that was a big thing for me of just kind of prioritizing myself and my health. So I got out at this point, it was the end of April, early May was when I got out of the hospital. And on my way home from the hospital. I was still probably super high because I was on all the meds. There was a location. I drove right by here. Was going home, and there was a location that had a big sign that said for lease. And it was where, for anybody that knows Mission Hills, where Beta Burger used to be, where they used to sell steamed burgers. You would wonder why they weren't really successful, but I say that with love.
I know,
Anyways,
but you can say it with love, but I'm thinking about a steamed burger. I hate when you get condensation when you're frying a burger and it gets.
Yeah. So all that to say is,
No shade.
I got the number. I texted it. I'll rewind. We had been looking for, my partner and I, he's a barber, had been looking for a place. I was very intentional to open up a barbershop.
Okay, so you all had talked about
We had talked about it like the year before. Yeah, for sure. My office was at the Tobin at the time. And so I was hyper focused on
Tomas, you almost came in the shop. I'm messing with No, you're good. You're good. This is going to be good behind the scenes. We in real time, though.
So we
all right. So y'all were thinking about this. 2018.
Right. I was hyper focused on finding something in Mission Hill because I was there every day and I was like, there's no barbershops here in this area. There was, and think about the Tobin. The closest barbershop was near Brigham Circle
or Dudley.
Yep. Like there was nothing in that area. So I was like, oh, this is like a really good place.
College
to find.
area.
So I was hyper focused on finding a place there. It didn't work out. We checked out a few places and it just didn't work out. When I called, fast forward, when I called the number that was on that big for lease sign, it was actually the number of a landlord that we had spoken to previously that like really liked us and the idea of a barber shop. So as soon as I called him, or actually I texted him, he called me back immediately and said, Pam, I was actually just thinking about you for this space. So remember, this is May at this point. Like this is the beginning of May. We went to go see it. 2019. This is like me out of the hospital. Yeah, out of the hospital.
You said you were driving home from the.
I was driving home from the hospital. So I'm
going to put an asterisk next to the self-care question. Go ahead.
So we went to go see the space, within the week or whatever, and we were signing the lease within the month. So
out the hospital. You just said a few minutes ago you had 35 days, but then recovery was interesting too.
Yeah, I came back to work in July. July was when I signed the lease. We signed the lease before, but it was starting July 1st.
So you went back to BCYF in July
and started opening up a new business. And so by October, we opened up the shop. So we just celebrated our 5-year anniversary. So I was doing BCYF, all the things at BCYF. I opened up a new shop. I was still recovering very much so. I mean, I had an open wound in my stomach. Like I had a hole.
How old was you? I had
2 children. So Maxwell had just turned 2. Maxwell had just turned 2. During the time that I was in the hospital, I mean, it was rough. I didn't get to see my babies for 3 weeks. That was extremely hard.
Yeah. Especially for your 2-year-old.
Yeah. Well, I would say especially for Joao, who's now older, because he was more aware of what was going on.
And aware of missing you.
Yeah. I mean, they both definitely missed me. Max was still very little. Luckily, I have a really great support system. My family jumped in. But it was hard. It was very, very, very hard. But I will say, during that whole hospital stay, not once did I ever think I was going to die. Like that was never something that passed through my mind.
So with the context of you, because you've said a few times before we started, since we've been talking, that you was like on your deathbed and got close to death a few times, but in you knew you weren't going to die. It never passed my mind.
Actually, Easter Sunday came and my surgeon, who ended up becoming like the president of the hospital. He got a lot. He actually uses me as a case study now because what happened to me is not normal.
Tell him to write that check.
I know, right?
Be talking about.
He came out of his way. He came to visit me on Easter Sunday and told me, one, still has no idea why all of the things happened.
Yep.
Two, it was definitely, a miracle. He had told me that there were so many complications during my surgeries.
This is when the reference of that you like almost died.
Mm-hmm. And then he said, I didn't want to tell you before, but I actually thought it was some sort of cancer that we just didn't know about. So he had sent stuff to oncology, didn't tell us. And honestly, I'm so grateful he didn't tell us any of this.
Yeah.
Especially my family,
Mhm.
right? Like, you tell me, I'm very realistic, but I'm also very optimistic. And so
Yep.
I would have been like, okay, we'll figure it out. We're
Yep.
gonna,
But you are, and that doesn't mean the people that are around
Right.
you are the same way in general and or about.
And
you.
that's not to say that they probably weren't thinking that this, I could have gone. But my energy and like the way that I was, always so positive didn't let them in the space with me where it affected me, right?
Yeah.
So he told me, my surgeon told me, he said, if it wasn't for your energy, for your positive thinking, like you're just the way you are, for that your whole just mentality, you probably would have passed, because that gets to you. It's depression.
Let me interject if you don't mind, because you're familiar with the platform, Pam, and we always have doctors, Dr. Ron K, the psychiatrist, all through the years, and we often talk about the correlation between mental and physical. If we could deviate for a second, you're saying that you're a living, breathing. You said that the doctor uses you for an example. Is that the example that he uses about your positivity that led to your getting through this process?
Yes.
So we talk about it. The doctors talk about it. We kind of know it. We name it all the time. Here's a real living example of your mentality influencing your, I was going to say medicine, but your medical status.
We are our own medicine. I mean, we have the power to be our own medicine.
Yeah, in a few ways. Food, thinking. And so, so you go through all of that because UCB is going to be up on here trying to make us go. And I got an 11 o'clock, y'all. So
we're going to get to
5. Yeah, because y'all be.
Now I'm going to get you 90. I'm going to get you 90, team. Don't worry. I got you.
Oh, man. All right. So this is happening. You're that miracle with this positivity. And you get in the shop. Take us to July of 2019.
We get to the shop. It was great. I was learning all the things. I had never really opened up a business. Technically, I would say I was still an entrepreneur, because I was also I was doing makeup back in the day, like all these things. I used to bartend. I used to be a club promoter, like all of these, you name it, I have been that. And so I finally now I had to switch gears and make sure that I had all my ducks in a row, right?
Permits, insurance.
On top of that, I was also doing this outside of, I had to be very careful because I was a city employee. So, my 9 to 5 was my 9 to 5. I could not, and I had to be very, very, very intentional about my time, making sure that I wasn't there, because people will try to bring you down.
And especially the department you was in.
Yeah. So that wasn't easy either. Like it was literally 9 to 5 BCYF, which was really 24/7, but like 9 to 5 was that. And then at lunchtime, I would go to the shop, talk to the contractors, go back.
And this is pre-pandemic.
This is six months pre-pandemic. So we opened up in October. It went great. I think, I'm so grateful that we had a really great team. We have a really great team. And because of the location, it was an automatic success. Like we have walk-ins daily. It was just it was what was needed in that neighborhood.
Okay.
Barbershop was needed in that neighborhood. Fast forward 6 months, pandemic hits. And we shut down.
Wow. In a height of your new business that was doing very well.
Yeah, that was doing very well. Again, because we were so new, we had everything up to code. I had designed, because I designed the barbershop, the aesthetics, everything. And I had designed the seats to be 6 feet apart. Like it was just like already. So when they said we can open up, which was May 25th, it was Memorial Day. was when salons and barbershops could
open back up.
We were one of the first and few that were able to, because we didn't have to do anything. We just kind of were able to open up. So that was a blessing, for sure. But even during that time, like, we didn't have it for barbers. If they don't work, they don't get paid.
Yeah.
But I will say, and this is where my love for barbershops and like the community and villages that it builds is that barbers were getting weekly, like their customers were sending.
I was hitting my barber at the time. It was only $25 like every 2 weeks, but
25 is 25, like for compared to zero. So that was beautiful. Seeing how like the community came together to still support. I actually did do a GoFundMe
for
the barbers, and whoever needed it. I offered, some of them didn't accept it, others needed it. So like it all balanced out and worked out really well. And, you know, again, I recognize that I am privileged and I know how to navigate resources, which is so
coming
huge.
out that nonprofit BCYF.
Right. So when certain grants came out, like I applied, and so we did get grants and we were able to cover rent. So I was able to pay rent throughout. Rent is not cheap, y'all, especially in Mission Hill.
Especially in Boston.
You know, I was considering, well, no, OnlyFans wasn't open at that time, right? No.
We're not going to make this an after dark.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Because, you know, a couple of folks will be in here. Come on.
Just kidding. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. But, you know, all that to say is very blessed to have been able to survive the pandemic and then continue to thrive as a business. So fast forward 5 years later, you know, now I'm no longer at BCYF. I actually left in 2021 to become the executive director of the Boston Education Fund. Ta-da!
Got a little bit of coffee there, excuse me. Boston Education Fund, in which right now you're on vacation time, you on just, I
got personal time, PTO.
I know, I'm just saying, just because, again, you know, you just, we were saying about BCYF and balancing. And so that's a practice that you do anyway. And so that is, you're there. We know about that because I want to make sure that folks understand and see sort of the business and what has led to you being, you said 5 years later, you're here. What does it feel like? And I alluded in the introduction, like you're here in Nubian Square. Nubian Square is the probably most upcoming, revitalized, chance to be gentrified with what's going on here. But then also currently, it could be an interesting place. I've referred to a couple of buildings down, right up here, across the street, right in front of your door sometimes, that this is what I call Black and Brown communities mass and cast to some extent. I'm going to speed things up. And last Friday, Thursday, Friday, I was on Facebook. I saw a post. You put a post up, you know, we can get it. We do stuff in real time. But basically the gist of the post was, I want to believe that the elder came out of concern, but how I read your post led me to believe that the way his concern was presented could have been condescending as a woman. As someone that he may not be familiar with in this area or whatever. Can you just speak to your decision to come to Nubian Square and what you envision when you think about La Sala and In The Cut's contribution to this area? You can do immediate, midterm, and long-term goals of your impact as a woman of color, Latina woman, and someone that is reared in this city. Why Nubian Square and what are the plans?
Why Nubian Square? So a lot of people don't know is that the Boston Education Fund's office is on this block.
So you always look out with the full time and the hustle.
I mean, location. You got to maximize.
Shout out to Carlos.
Carlos Castillo, best landlord ever.
Hi, Carlos.
So I've been here 3.5 years now, right? Like I go to the office every day. I don't have to.
Yep.
I want to.
Mm-hmm.
I like being here. I love being here. And so, it was one of those things again where I was like, there is no barbershop in the square.
In the square.
In the square.
Yep.
There are barber Richard's good friend, like right down the street. There are barber shops on
KJ
Dudley.
took over for Allah. Everything is real.
Yep. So there are barber shops,
Yeah.
but there are none in the square.
Okay.
I'm also extremely privy to the fact that there's a lot of construction going on here.
Yep.
There are a lot of new developments
Yep.
happening. There are a lot of big businesses
Mhm.
that are looking in this
Chance
area.
of gentrification, but
So all of that is important to me.
Yep.
For Black and brown folks to mark their territory in a way that, one, we are deserving of great things.
Yep.
Right. There's no reason why we can't create those great things.
Yep.
And so again, the idea was, okay, there is nothing here. I did tell Carlos, I said, Carlos, I'm not necessarily looking to open up a barbershop, but if you see a space, because he has many properties, if there's a space that makes sense that you think a barbershop might be good here, let me know. So I told him, and I had told him I said, if you see it, it's specifically in the square, right?
Yep.
I don't want to go and shop around places that I don't know. So I knew Mission Hill. I know Nubian Square.
Yep.
Right? Like, I'm here. I know what's going on.
Another note. Go ahead. Keep talking.
So in that, I made that he is my landlord for Boston Education Fund. So I've already, we have a relationship in that way. And so again, I wasn't necessarily looking to open up a shop.
Okay.
The city of Boston released the space grant.
Yep.
And Eric Estevez, shout out to him. He said, hey, are you applying to this? I'm like, no, I wasn't really applying. He was like, you should apply. I think it'd be, say something like that. Like, you should apply. I was like, well, if Eric's telling me to apply, then
apply.
Yeah.
Yep,
When Pops tells you to do something, you do it.
Yep.
So I started to apply, and it was a process. And I will say, it was blood, sweat, and tears went into that. But
having
grant.
them ducks in a row as a businesswoman, I just want to highlight that, because you had everything in a row. It was just compiling it and getting all your P&L, your budget,
all of the things. And again, I come from a privileged place where I know how to navigate resources. Like, I think that's really important to acknowledge.
Okay.
And I do share those resources. So I'm very intentional about making sure people have access to those resources.
Not gatekeeping and stuff.
Right.
Yep.
So I applied for the grant. I was very hesitant to submit that grant. I was super hesitant. Because I said, if I get it, I'm gonna have to do it.
Now I gotta do it.
I gotta do it.
You said that at the opening.
did, and it's true. It was so true. Like, I really thought twice. I'm like, if I get this grant, then I gotta move forward with it. And I wasn't there. My brain wasn't ready to open up a new shop. So I mean, fast forward, I ended up getting the grant, and so it was wonderful. But that was a big not an eye opener. It was kind of like a reminder, like, Pam, you're kind of dope.
Oh, I thought you was going to say, processes and all that stuff.
No. It was just like
a self-affirmation
of like, I know. And again, I say this all with humility, but it's really hard for me to accept a lot of the things that I do. Right. And I think you and I are very similar in that way. So when I got the grant, I reached out. I said, hey, Carlos, so I got a grant.
And
I was originally looking at the space where the Renta Center is. That's kind of like on the corner.
The old Roscoe's.
Yeah. Which is,
I don't know if you remember that.
I don't know it, but I remember.
If y'all remember the old Roscoe's, just comment Roscoe's. Go ahead.
So, that was like the initial idea, but then things happen the way they're supposed to. And when I told Carlos was like, hey, actually, I pretty sure that Revex is not going
Yep.
to renew their lease. Is that a place that you're interested in? And I had only been in here once and only into this first room. And I said, and I told Carlos, don't show that place to anybody. I'll take it. I knew it was double the size of what I would have
over at the Rent-A-Center
looked at over there. But something in my heart, my gut, everything was like, nope, that's yours. That's your space. So I know people were not very happy because they wanted this space.
Okay.
But Carlos, and that's why I will, shout out to Carlos for being true to his word. And like, I'm sure he probably could have gotten even more from other folks, but because he gave me his word and that was important, he stuck to it. So here we are.
Shout out to Carlos. I'm going to say that as much as I can. Hi, Carlos. Good to see you. Good for being a good brother. Y'all know who Carlos is, you know. And so you have this second space. Let's go into as we get ready to approach wrapping up. And the only reason why I need to is because this 11 is about space. Which is interesting, but knowing that, you know, we can work something out. And there's a backup here, After Darks. What's the other one? Black Java, no sugar, no cream. Because this space is very mobile. And you can do different things in here. You got, you have smaller rooms that we framed differently earlier. I'll say shout out to workstations. And there are different types of employees.
And
we got other rooms,
personal stations.
So, all right. In all seriousness, though, being a Nubian and that.
Oh yeah, your initial question.
Yeah, no. But I think because I love today. I've known you for years, Pam, and you're one of those ones where who's an example? I can't remember, but there's been a few people that I've seen around for at least a decade. And I sit on these interviews since Java with Jimmy, and I'm like, oh shit. Sorry, Ma. So, all right. Nubian Square, the intentionality here. The other thing I put in my notes were when you said making our mark, it's making our mark and creating space. But there's also a mark of with this, the thriving of this area, you need that, shout out to Daniel, you need that black dollar to be a part of it. And what I mean by that is getting dollars in black and brown spaces because all of the developers and you know, everybody's not a Carlos and everybody's not homegrown. They're corporations and big, you know, projects and whatnot. What impact do you see because of your connections, because of your being from this community, your intentionality here? How do you see Nubian Square? Because Pam, you're on a block that is interesting. And so what do you see your contribution being to in love with humanity, have a contribution to this area, but also sort of raising the bar of Nubian Square?
Right. Community is my jam. And so everywhere I go, community is part of who I am. Every room I walk into, I always allude to, and you even alluded to me wearing many hats. And, you know, I have come to really appreciate and embrace that I walk into all of the spaces with all of the hats on everywhere I go. And so the Pam you see is the Pam you get. Yeah. In corporate
and you've
rooms.
always been consistent.
I have. And it's hard work changing up and switching.
And no disrespect to the general concept of that, because
but for me, that just doesn't work, right? Like, and that's what I think, and something that I'm super proud of is that whether it's a corporate boardroom to like your neighborhood barbershop to wherever it is
at the drink well,
anywhere, like this is the Pam you're gonna get, right? And so, you know, everything that I do, I allude a lot to legacies and legacies.
I love it.
Legacies
and legacies.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so, again, one of my most favorite quotes that I ever hear is from Hamilton. And yep. What's a legacy? It's planting seeds in a garden you may not ever get to see. And so, I think, and I'd like to think that everything I do is just planting these seeds in a garden. That's when I leave here, whenever that is. There's a garden that's being created or that's growing, right?
And there are trees in those gardens. Sometimes flowers have to be uprooted and changed. You have your perennials, you have your other ones, but then you have trees that outside of them being completely dug up, they last for decades.
So with all of that, being in Nubian Square, you said interesting. I really don't have another a word for what goes on here. On a daily basis, there are some days that I literally have to walk over because my office entrance is around the corner. It's where the stairs are, and that's like a big like where people gather. And the things I've seen are not great at all. I've physically have to walk over folks sometimes to get into my office. So I know exactly what's going on here. It's not like I wanted to say, hey, I'm coming into Nubian Square, ignorant or, closed with closed eyes. I will bring it back to the comment in my Facebook post of last week. Again, I'd like to think that the comment was not made with malintention. However, it did feel there were so many levels to
being a woman.
And I will say that week in particular, that wasn't my first
week. Oh, I was going to say that wasn't the week to mess with you.
You should never mess with me. But no, but there had been other.
Tomas is over in the corner going.
There had been other interactions that had happened here, where men had either questioned me or when I introduced myself as the owner, it's just a lot of
Yeah.
So, at this community, it was a safety community meeting. We were there. I was there with Jazz, the manager. Shout out to Jazz. And, after we introduced ourselves and I had mentioned there was an incident that had happened right outside where, there are very few times that I have felt unsafe in this area. Right. I've seen all the things, but I've never necessarily felt unsafe. The night before, I felt unsafe, not so much, not just for me, but for my children. My children were with me and it was bad. And then I was really upset because there were police, but they were just parked out there. There was a lot that had happened. And so I was just sharing that experience in that space. And then this older man, really, the question was more like, people usually do their homework when they're going to open up a business. What happened.
Condescending as a woman.
You know what happens, or there's a lot of things that happen, especially on this block.
Presumption you're not from community.
Right. There's a liquor store right there. What makes you think that opening up a barber shop was the right move? It was something like that. I mean, it was that.
This was in a public setting?
In a public setting.
Oh, not private.
No, this was in the group. When the group thing.
I thought this was this is a little bit different. I thought this was a side.
No. So he did this in front of the community folks that were there. And anybody that knows me, and this is just like one of two ways. If you know me and you see my eyebrows start going up.
Mine's is my right one.
Yours mine are both. Oh, my eyebrows started going up. Jazz already knew. He just kind of looked and had a little smirk like, oh man, you're about to wrong thing. Get it.
Yep.
And so, I took a second and to respond, but I basically was like, I can answer this. I literally went I can answer this in at least 3 different ways. And I
said a couple. You said 3.
I went in. I said, I've been on this block. now at this point, I'm here at least 7 days a week.
Yep.
I'm here. I know exactly what's going on here. And that is not a reason for us or me to not want to have and create something beautiful for
show
this
commitment to community. Go ahead.
I said, actually, that gives me more fuel to be able to know that I've put my blood, sweat, and tears into this community, into this block.
Yep.
Like, and you know, I think about this block. There's the beautiful mural that everyone knows,
Right
the
here.
Roxbury
Yep.
mural.
Yep.
And I really encourage everyone to come by, drive by. And there's I put up a mural for the shop in the back.
Yep.
Which I call
that
Legacy.
resonates. It has I see jazz.
No, it's not jazz. So it's Joao, my son.
No, not the person. I see, like, if I remember, is there music notes in it?
No, they're all barbershop, like little.
It gives
things.
a little, I got to go back and look good because it gives that jazz. I think of jazz when I think of the mural.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Well, it's a barber shop. Like there's barbers. If you really look at it, shout out to Chepe Leña, Mark. He's the artist.
The artist that did it.
And if you look at the mural, you know, it's supposed to be a mirror of intergenerations, multicultural representation, and then traditional barbershop culture. And so that's a huge part of, like, now my son's faces are on the wall. Like they've been immortalized on this block in this community as, you know, a staple now and being part of the future. And so, you know, back to my response to the man, I was very respectful. I was very factual. I let him understand that not only am I capable, I also belong
and qualified.
And so, you know, it was funny, not funny, but, you know, as I'm speaking, he was literally like his
whole demeanor,
you know, kind of came in and you know, I didn't hear anything else from it. And he probably didn't think about how I was triggered.
Yeah,
I was definitely
as you
triggered.
should have been.
You know, this is my second shop. It's not easy. Like it was, you know, and I know I have something really special here.
Yeah.
Anybody that walks into this space, into La Sala, into the barber shop, I mean, you feel it. The energy is different. You feel in here. You feel at home. You feel like you're supposed to be here. You feel like it is supposed to be here. And so, you know, I even mentioned that next year, literally next year, let's put an alarm and see how different this is going to look.
It's going to be huge because you know, Willie Broderick, the pastor of 12th Baptist, is the one that for me sort of sets a tone. And at one time when I was younger, I grew up at 25 Greenville Street, which is next to what is now the Dearborn. And there was a time where there was two pharmacies. There was a pharmacy down at the end of across the street from Greenville and Dudley. We had Cornfields that is right down the street here. We had Blanchard's, we had Robel's, we had all of these places. Matter of fact, where are we? No, that's Foot Locker, where Robel's was. We had all of these places. My point is that Reverend Broderick was talking about he wants to be able to live in Roxbury, go to Jazz Urbane, enjoy a show. But he realized that he didn't get a cut. So he can come here and get a cut. Yep. He can, you know, if he wants to have or get communion for the church, he can go to the liquor store. He can also, if he wants to get a muffin or whatever, he can go to soon Dudley Cafe. We got the Greater Roxbury Arts and Cultural Center that's coming soon where you, and so this is a contribution to that year from now, what this area is going to look like. But with people like you here, you know, when I hinted to the gentrification, I think that you being here is a barrier to that, because the equity, the justice, you being rooted and know this community to ensure that you know, everybody is represented in these meetings, and it just is it's amazing to see the journey. We do got to get ready to wrap up. UCB, y'all can't do me today. I really got to call at 11. But I have to ask, with all of that, how do you self-care? You're a mother, you're a multi-business owner, you're executive director, you're a community leader. How do you self-care in a manner that is impactful? And I'll say this to you, that is not surface. And don't give me, helping my community. And again, we got a vibe that, because, you know, I did it to the governor once. He was like, James, how do you take care of yourself? I was like, helping the community. He said, no, that's not self-care. That's work. How do you self-care?
I don't do it as much as I'd like to.
Okay. Thank you for being real. I know.
I don't. Now, I do, you know, I haven't done it in a while, but I love to do like mini escapes. I have a crew of girls in Miami.
We were supposed to meet.
I know.
Pam was self-caring. I was like, I'll come. You were in one part. I was on the beach, and I was like,
North
I'll come
Miami
up halfway.
Beach.
Pam was like, I come home tomorrow or something.
So that's one thing. I think here, when I do squeeze in, I do. DL mentioned it yesterday. Floating. I love floating. I
gotta look into that. I saw
it's so great. Yeah. Floating is amazing.
You gotta be in. Are you in a capsule or water or something?
Yeah, but you can leave it open. I mean, you can ease into. I got you. Floating, and then honestly, like I like to go out. Yes. I like to go out. I like to have my drink. I like to last year, Vincent's. Anyone who knows Vincent's? I mean, that was my church. Friday night, you would find me at Vincent's.
Friday night service.
You would find me at Vincent's. I love dancing. Like that was my thing. You know, they've closed down, so I actually haven't gone out like that. Yeah, to go out and just dance and have a good time. So I miss that. We need that. We don't have that. Again, like I used to be a club promoter, so the nightlife, I've definitely I know it. I love it. I love going to our places, you know, Grace Spinea and Hugh.
Stella and Hugh.
Shout out to Top Mix. I'm a regular at Top Mix in JP.
The Mix.
Yeah.
A few of them. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really love, that's and still we're doing community things, right? Like even going there and supporting, and right? Being super intentional about that. But I like my drinky drink, and I like to have fun and just be with my peoples. Okay. And honestly, sometimes I just like to sit on my couch and do nothing
at all.
Nothing.
No schedule. How often do you open up your Outlook and there's nothing on it? Pam, every once outside of the show on them Fridays when I open up Outlook and there is
nothing.
The mental.
Yeah.
So you need to commit to at least having sister's name that supports you with Ed Fund.
Samantha. No, I was literally about to shout her out because she now is just throwing in like blocks to not do anything.
I'm spiritual because I was getting ready to say that.
Yeah, I was like, Samantha is really great. She'll look at my calendar and she'll just put a block in there. Like, nope, you ain't doing nothing.
You definitely need that.
So
the team pushes me to do that. Miguel was like, when I had the surgery, I had took the week off, and he was like, yeah, bro, you need to do that once a quarter. And so just a reminder, December 26th until the first Monday of the full week in January. We're gonna be
That's my birthday.
When's your birthday?
December 28th. I'm a Capricorn, baby.
We're gonna be here.
It's Saturday. What you think? Yes, sir.
We're going to hit the party's.
So thank you for that.
I don't shameless
plug.
People.
Shameless plug. So La Sala, we didn't really speak about La Sala. Real quick. What time is it?
Go ahead.
I got you. All right, we got like 4 minutes.
2 minutes.
6 minutes.
No, because I got to get on at 11. Because if
you could get on,
I know, but if I
tell me what button I gotta press.
You can. Okay, never mind. Go ahead.
So La Sala is, so this isn't just a barbershop, and
Yep.
that's big part of what this is. And I would also say that the first barbershop isn't just a barbershop. We do a lot of community work in general, and have really great partnerships there. We actually, and I've alluded to this, you're always talking about the get cuffed or cuffing season. Yeah,
Shout out to ABCD cuffing season.
And I'm shouting out, like, cuff yourself, because what we're doing is we've partnered up with MGH, and they come in and they are literally taking people's blood pressure and then connecting them to services. I know, I understand, but not everything is. Goodness. Anywho, fast forward. La Sala, right here in Nubian Square, is your community space that can be, it's multifunctional, multi everything. Yeah, you can move everything around. It's rentable, so it's also creating a space where people can come and have their own private events, which I really appreciate. It's a lot of fun. We have a pop-up shop actually coming in on Sunday for Tomas Soto. Charlie Bryan is going to be
just
here.
come over and wave.
I know, come and wave.
Just
come and wave. He's been here the whole time.
Behind Pam or over here, just say what up to people. And what I'm going to do, right, is you keep talking, and I'm going to figure out, I think I'm going to be able to give people a quick tour of the, hold on, first
You're
of all.
going to do a tour?
Yeah, but let me, I don't want.
So we've had we're actually going to have a baby shower on Saturday. We're going to have a Dia de los Muertos event on Friday, where you can come and actually bring a picture. We're going to create an altar for una ofrenda.
You keep talking.
Part of the Tag Association. We're putting this. Oh, he's doing a whole, look at that. We live up in this. Look at this. So this is La Sala. Are you gonna go? I'm gonna give you, yeah. So you're walking through the tunnel, and as Jimmy has now welcomed you into our beautiful barbershop, In The Cut Barbershop in Nubian Square, located at 2379 Washington Street. Look at that. Look at those beautiful thrones. You're going to come in and get luxury care. This is right in the heart of Nubian Square. You see the Good Vibes Only sign right there. We have 5 amazing barbers, 2 women barbers I'm super proud of. We have everything from fades and regular cuts to locks and lock detox and the crown experience. Shout out to my bald men. we got you. We got taken care of. That's my grandma, guys. That is our matriarch looking over and making sure that anybody that walks into the space keeps only good vibes and will zap you if you don't. Well, that's the barbershop. I would love for anybody to come in. We actually have a special going on. It's $20 Tuesdays. So Tuesdays, you can come in, and then we're going to have a special for walk-in Wednesdays as well. Look at me. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing this whole thing happening. And this is La Sala, guys. La Sala, as I said, is a multifunctional, multi-use space that you can use for anything. You didn't show them the cool,
The who?
It's okay.
All right.
Well, I know Jimmy gotta go. Wait, it's 10:58. I'm really trying to give you guys 90. I'm really trying to give you guys 90 minutes.
I mean, I can.
There should be a part 2.
Join the meeting, in at 11. At least if they see me on. Oh, Pam, you got some numbers up on here.
Really?
Yes. Let's.
I know we didn't even look at the comments today.
I did a little bit. Okay,
oh, you
so
did?
This Stern thing.
Okay, and so mic check 1 2 1 2.
No,
I'm here with Jimmy and with the crew. I don't know. This should be like a regular. Can we do this regularly, Jimmy?
Yes, I like this because there's just a cadence that I like when I'm talking to people. So all right.
Comments.
My mic, I had to turn it off. All right, so. Jules is in the building. Dope space. I love her spirit. Beautiful salon. Love the barber chairs. This is awesome. What's on Netflix? Huh? Mom's talking about what's on Netflix. There was some other comments here earlier. Brother Joseph Bennett from Yard Time. I'm supposed to do a barbershop interview. Panel said her shop in November, January. Congratulations.
Yes.
Shout out to Joey in the building from Yard Time.
Yep.
Real Boston Media. Laugh my ass off. Pam said, I'm going to let you finish, but hear this.
That's exactly what happened.
There's a few of those. Drew Vernett. Hey, what's going on, ladies?
Boo.
In the building.
Hey, boo. Hey, we're going to have conversations here as well.
I got to do an update because I haven't done a green space panel. And I was thinking about her earlier because I want to focus on women. And women are killing it in the cannabis industry. So, and Cindy says it's interesting because we need to bring more positive businesses to that area. I've been down there for 4 years since the beginning of the pandemic, asking people to support the businesses so we can keep Nubian Square, Nubian, Black, and Latino. Absolutely. Yes, Miguel. Well, I'm gonna put that up.
Yimmy.
It's 11 o'clock on the dot.
90 minutes,
y'all. Get ready to go. Shout out to UCB, Brother
UCB,
Eric Leslie.
Yes, absolutely. We had a great event.
Oh, you was a speaker at the.
I was.
You were a speaker at the
And I did a whole little poem that I
you did a poem and you did the whole. Where's the thing for the no.
See, I told you guys we were gonna get 90 minutes.
Here we go. This is the meeting I got to get on. Okay, we're going to get off of here, everybody. Have a great day. And we'll see y'all. Say goodbye to them in the
Come visit us at La Sala and in the Cut Nubian Square and Mission Hill, 9 to 6 every day, Monday through Saturday. Peace.